Hello YouTube. So yesterday I got to see The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. This has been probably my most anticipated film of this whole year. And I've actually been looking forward to it for a long time, even before, right from when I first heard they were even going to make one. I've been really looking forward to it. And I've finally seen it. Before I got to see it, I saw some reviews of it on YouTube. And a lot of people, the reviews hadn't really been great from what I'd seen. They hadn't been exactly bad, the majority of them, but The Hobbit seems to have received a lot of criticism. Like, the biggest problem that people seem to have is the pacing. They seem to say that there's just too much in it, and there's unnecessary scenes, and it's really slow to get moving, and it takes the first hour to 90 minutes are just too slow. So when I've seen all these reviews, I was starting to get a little bit skeptical. I still was really, really excited, but at the same time I was thinking maybe it isn't as good as I was hoping. But now that I've seen it, I can honestly say that I fully enjoyed it. I really did. And I don't understand a lot of the criticism that it's received. I can get bored for a lot of films, but I actually didn't get bored with this one. I enjoyed it right from the beginning to the end. I really did. A lot of the stuff that they added were from the appendices, and to be honest, I think that was actually quite a good idea. Sort of adding a lot of the other backstory to Lord of the Rings. That was probably around during the time of The Hobbit. Because remember, a lot of the other backstory wasn't written by the time when The Hobbit was written. So now that they've made Lord of the Rings, I think it's not a bad idea to add stuff, from the appendices, from the unfinished sales to The Hobbit. I didn't really find it. It maybe you could say it dragged on a little bit, maybe, but I did fully enjoy it. And I think they added some rather, some interesting things to it. And also, I noticed how extremely close to the book it was. Well, except for the stuff they'd added in. It was just like watching the book on live screen, on a screen, for a lot of it. It was like word for word. Like when Gandalf meets Bilbo for the first time. And is saying, "All that it is a good morning, whether I want it to or not, or that you feel good this morning." It was just like Gandalf from the book. I didn't really. There was a bit too much CGI in The Hobbit, I thought. All the orcs and all these creatures. The goblins, the orcs, they were all CGI. As in Lord of the Rings, they actually had people with makeup on and they looked amazing. As in this, they just looked really fake. So that was it didn't really feel as good as Lord of the Rings. It wasn't as realistic. But The Hobbit is a lighter hearted and less gritty book, so it's fair enough. Now, some of you will have seen the review I did earlier this year of the trailer, which, by the way, I've watched recently, and I thought, no, the points that I made actually weren't really, I didn't explain that well. But one of the points that I made was that I didn't like the idea that they had Bilbo, the older Bilbo, telling Frodo Bilbo's story. I didn't like the introduction. Well, I didn't like the idea of it, because I liked the idea of a newcomer watching all 6 films in chronological order, from The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey to The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, watching it in that order. And I kind of thought, the introduction, you're not going to know, a newcomer isn't going to know who Frodo is, and then it's not going to mean as much. That's kind of what I was thinking. Now that I've seen it, I think it did work. It worked quite well. However, the problem is the actor who played Bilbo has aged. He's aged quite a lot, and it's really quite noticeable. And Elijah Wood has to a lesser extent as well. Thankfully, Ian McKellen, for the most part, looks the same as he did in Lord of the Rings. And when I first found out that Bilbo was going to be played by Martin Freeman, who was quite a bit younger, I didn't really like that because he was so much younger, as he wasn't supposed to have aged at all. However, Martin Freeman did still play Bilbo Baggins really, really well. And now a lot of people are going to hate on me for saying this, but I'd actually like them to make a special edition of the Fellowship of the Ring, where, you know, the introduction, when you see the story being told of Middle Earth, and the story of how Bilbo found the ring, and you see Bilbo pick the ring up, and say, "Oh, what's this? A ring?" I think it'd be a good idea to make an edition where they cut the original act out, and just in that introduction, and replace it with Martin Freeman, just so it works better for continuity. But also to cut out the bit when Gandalf says, "You haven't aged a day," because in The Hobbit that is contradicted. He has aged quite a lot. I've heard a lot of complaints about Radagast the Brown, and I've seen loads of people have found him just really, really annoying. And there are people who seem to have put him in the same bracket as Jar Jar Binks. To be honest, I didn't really find him that annoying. Maybe a little bit annoying, but I thought he was okay, to be honest. He wasn't in it much. Let's be thankful for that. I mean, you could say I maybe found him less annoying because I was looking for him to be annoying. Because I'd heard so many people say he was annoying, I was expecting and I was really prepared for it, so maybe that helped it a bit, but no, I didn't find him particularly annoying. And plus, apparently he was meant to be like that in the book, so hey. The cast was very good for the most part. Richard Armitage as Thorin, excellent choice. He was the perfect Thorin. In fact, right from when I first saw him in the trailer, I thought, yeah, that's Thorin. He is perfect for Thorin. He was even just by looking at it from the trailers, he looked great as Thorin. He actually looked rather like what I actually imagined him to look as well, which is strange considering it's a film and it's not come from my head. Martin Freeman, he was very good as Bilbo Baggins. Ian McKellen, of course, was perfect as Gandalf, just like he was in Lord of the Rings. And of course, Andy Serkis was fantastic as Gollum, just like he was in Lord of the Rings. In fact, the scene with Gollum in was probably my favourite scene in the film. Gollum, also, he looked amazing. He looked really realistic. And he looked really good in Lord of the Rings, but in this, in The Hobbit, he looked even better. He looked amazing. When it comes to looking realistic, of course. So overall, I did really enjoy The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. I'm really looking forward to parts 2 and 3. I'm not quite sure how they're going to make 3 films out of the Hobbit book, but hey, I'll see what they're going to do with it. I will give The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. Now, this is actually a high rating for me, and it's higher than a lot of people would. I know a lot of other people would give it, but I'm going to give it a 19 out of 20. And if you're wondering what I thought of the 48 frames per second, I haven't seen it in 48 frames per second. I've only seen it in 24 frames per second. I don't think the cinema that I went to see it in even had the option to see it in 48. And even if it did, I wouldn't have wanted to see it in 48 frames per second from what I've heard about it. Because I've heard that it's really distracting. I think some people even like the film less because of the 48 frames per second. So yeah, seeing it in 24 frames, definitely, I fully enjoyed it. So I can't say about the 48 frames per second, but other people seem to have said it's a big distraction, and it takes you out of the film, and it's very, very, very hard to get used to. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the second and the third parts. I'd say check it out. You may find the first hour or so really slow, but it gets much, much better later on. And to be honest, I did enjoy it all the way through, really. So, have you seen The Hobbit? What did you think of it? Did you like it? Comment below. Let me know. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for now.